Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever stopped to think how something so globally significant, woven into history for over 1,000 years, can still be so misunderstood?
It's really something, isn't it?
Yeah, today we're diving into Islam. I mean, it's not just one of the world's biggest religions shaping cultures for, what, 1,400 years?
Over 1,400 years. And followed by nearly 2 billion people worldwide.
2 billion.
Yeah.
Yet, despite that massive presence, that deep impact, it often gets boiled down to these really simple, sometimes pretty harsh stereotypes.
And what's really striking, I think, is how the narrative, especially in, mainstream media, tends to zero in on extremism or conflict.
Right.
That story just overshadows everything else. The rich traditions, the incredible intellectual history, the everyday lives of most Muslims.
Exactly. So our mission today with this deep dive is to try and move past those common misconceptions. We want to explore some of the, let's say, lesser-known sides of Islam, particularly its deep foundational emphasis on knowledge, compassion, and community.
That's the plan. And we got a good stack of sources to help us do that. Academic articles, research reports, expert analyses.
Think of this as maybe a shortcut, a way to get properly informed on a complex subject. We're hoping for those aha moments, surprising facts that challenge the usual story, but without making your head spin.
Exactly.
And speaking of expanding your mind, if you like these kinds of deep dives that cut through the noise, definitely check out Mind Expansion Daily.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll find loads more great information there. And, if you could like and subscribe, it really helps us keep exploring these complex topics.
It really does. So this brings us right to that point you mentioned, the shadow of misrepresentation.
Yeah.
The problem is, it's pretty stark. Media portrayals may be driven by the need for sensational headlines, often focused mostly on extremism, terrorism, cultural clashes.
And that creates this really skewed picture, right?
Yeah.
One that just doesn't match the lived reality for the vast majority of Muslims.
Not at all. The sensational stuff amplifies fear, paints Islam as a threat, rather than, a faith based on peace, social justice, intellectual curiosity.
And it's not just perception. The numbers really show that disconnect. Like, there's that big Pew Research Center study in 2021.
I remember that one.
It found that 93% of Muslims worldwide condemn violence in the name of religion. 93%.
That's huge.
It is. But you almost never hear that statistic in the mainstream conversation.
Yeah.
So this crucial piece of context is just missing.
And that silence, whether it's deliberate or just accidental bias, has real, tangible consequences. Devastating ones sometimes.
Like what?
Well, in Western countries, Muslims often face discrimination. You see it in workplaces, schools, public spaces. It can be subtle bias or, outright hostility.
There's that KR report, wasn't there? Council on American Islamic Relations?
Exactly, the 2019 report. It documented over 2,000 anti-Muslim incidents just in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, everything from verbal harassment, mosque vandalism, all the way to actual physical violence.
And it's not just individual incidents, is it? Looking bigger picture, these stereotypes, they fuel actual policies.
Marginalizing policies, like travel bans targeting people from Muslim-majority countries.
Or increased surveillance on Muslim communities.
Exactly. And these things, they don't just deepen the divides in society, they actively create mistrust, alienation. It makes it harder for communities to just live together.
Yeah. Our sources kept coming back to this point. The root cause seems to be a lack of real knowledge, about Islam's core teachings, its history.
Right. So many people are just shaped by those selective media stories, and they're completely unaware of the faith's emphasis on things like compassion, justice, seeking knowledge, universal values, really.
And that point about knowledge, the intellectual pursuit, that feels like a really key place to challenge those narratives.
It really is. And it brings us to something often underappreciated about Islam. Its deep, foundational commitment to education, to intellectual growth.
It's not just a modern thing either.
No, not at all. It's right there in the earliest revelations. The very first word revealed to Prophet Muhammad, the cornerstone message, was read.
Read. Wow.
Yeah, Quran 96.1. Read in the name of your Lord who created. So the first instruction wasn't about ritual or belief. It was a divine command to seek knowledge.
That's quite something, embedding learning right at the heart of the faith from the very beginning.
It's a pretty remarkable theological starting point, often overlooked when we think about religions.
And that focus on learning didn't stop there, right?
Yeah.
The Prophet Muhammad himself encouraged it.
There's the famous saying attributed to him, "Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave."
Cradle to the grave.
Yeah, it wasn't just advice. It became this ethos that really powered one of the most vibrant intellectual periods in history, the Islamic Golden Age, roughly 8th to 13th centuries.
The Golden Age. We hear the term, but what did that actually involve?
Well, the sheer range of breakthroughs is amazing. We're talking huge advances in math, astronomy, medicine, philosophy, things that really laid the groundwork for modern science.
Like what specifically? Give us an example.
Okay, Al-Khwarizmi, 9th century mathematician. His name actually gave us the word algorithm.
No way.
Seriously, he basically laid down the foundations for modern algebra, his systematic way of solving equations. Revolutionary for its time.
Okay, that's impressive.
And then there was Baghdad's House of Wisdom. Not just a library, it was this massive research center.
Yeah.
A global hub.
Global hub.
Yeah, scholars translating and advancing texts from Greek, Persian, Indian traditions. They weren't just preserving knowledge, they were building on it. Developing new theories and optics, mapping, surgery. It drew minds from all over.
It sounds incredible, like this whole vital chapter of human history.
It was, but as you said, it's so often missing from the mainstream discussion about Islam today, just overshadowed by modern conflicts.
I feel like a huge piece of the story just gets skipped. But this focus on knowledge isn't just history, right? It continues.
Absolutely. And there are some really inspiring modern examples. Take Dr. Hayat Sindhi. She's a Saudi Arabian scientist, got her PhD from Cambridge, broke major barriers in science, often seen as male-dominated, and she co-founded this nonprofit, Diagnostics for All. They develop affordable, easy-to-use medical diagnostic tools for poor communities in remote places.
Wow, that's amazing work.
It is. And what's so compelling is how her work perfectly blends those Islamic values of seeking knowledge and serving humanity with really cutting-edge science. It directly challenges that false idea that faith and reason are somehow opposed.
Her work isn't just science for science's sake. It's knowledge applied for social good.
Exactly. A very deep Islamic principle.
That's a fantastic story. Really shakes up assumptions, especially about Muslim women in science. And it highlights that intellectual side.
Right.
But beyond knowledge, there's this other core part of Islam that also gets overlooked, isn't there? Compassion and community.
Oh, absolutely. At its heart, Islam is deeply rooted in compassion and social responsibility. Take zakat. It's one of the 5 main pillars of Islam. It mandates that Muslims donate 2.5% of their accumulated wealth each year to help the poor and vulnerable.
So it's not just suggested charity, it's an obligation.
It's a fundamental obligation, seen as a right the poor have upon the wealthy. The idea is to circulate wealth, prevent huge inequalities in society.
That's a really powerful built-in system for social welfare. Is there a specific Quranic basis for that?
Yes, Quran 3.92, for instance, tells believers to spend of that which you love.
Spend what you love.
Yeah.
Not just your leftovers.
Exactly. It fosters this culture of genuine generosity, and the scale is huge. Global zakat contributions in 2023 were estimated at over $500 billion.
Half $1 trillion annually.
Roughly, yeah. And that money funds schools, hospitals, housing, disaster relief all over the world. It's this massive, often unseen engine for social good.
So if it's that big and impactful, why don't we hear more about it?
That's a great question. And zakat isn't the only aspect. There's also tzedakah.
Tzedakah.
Yeah, which is about voluntary acts of kindness, not just money. It could be offering a smile, helping a neighbor, sharing food, clearing an obstacle from a path.
So it's a broader idea of kindness?
A very holistic view of generosity. Every positive act, big or small, contributes to the community's well-being.
Like building the social fabric day to day. You see that during Ramadan, right? With the community iftars.
Definitely. Those evening meals, breaking the fast, they bring everyone together. Mosques, community centers, homes. It's not just about food. It's shared experience, connection, solidarity.
But again, as our sources kept pointing out, these deep values of community, compassion, they rarely make the headlines.
No, instead the frame is usually conflict. Ignoring millions of Muslims doing daily acts of service, volunteering, advocating for justice.
Which is why sharing compelling stories is so important for breaking stereotypes.
Precisely. We talk about Dr. Hayat Sindhi, how her work challenges perceptions about Muslim women in science and innovation. But she's just one example.
Yeah, and thinking about challenging perceptions, Malala Yousafzai comes to mind.
Powerful example.
Pakistani activist. Survived an assassination attempt by the Taliban when she was just 15. Why? Because she advocated for girls' education.
Her courage is incredible, and she explicitly grounds it in her Muslim faith in Islam's teachings on justice, perseverance, the importance of knowledge.
Right. She became this global symbol, showing how faith can fuel positive social change, even against huge odds.
And stories like hers directly push back against that harmful, oppressed woman stereotype often attached to Muslim women. Look around, Muslim women are leaders in tech, politics, academia, social movements. Think of Ilhan Omar in the U.S. Congress.
Right. A very public figure.
And she integrates her Muslim identity with strong advocacy for progressive policies, for social justice. It shows how faith and contemporary values, active political life, can absolutely go hand in hand, counters those simplistic portrayals.
So the big takeaway here seems to be Muslims aren't some single bloc. They're not a monolith.
Not at all.
They're scientists, activists, artists, politicians, just everyday people trying to make a positive difference in countless ways.
And telling those diverse individual stories is crucial for shifting the conversation away from the damaging stereotypes. It's about seeing the full humanity.
Which leads us to, okay, how do we actually improve understanding? What's the path forward?
Well, overcoming these deep misconceptions really needs both education and empathy. It's a shared responsibility.
Shared by whom?
Schools, media outlets, community leaders, they all have a role in presenting more balanced, nuanced views, highlighting Islam's diversity, its contributions.
But it's not just up to institutions, is it? What can individuals do?
There are practical things. Organizations like the Islamic Society of North America, they host interfaith dialogues to build respect. But maybe the most powerful thing is just personal interaction.
Really, just talking to people.
Yeah. Engaging with Muslim neighbors, colleagues, friends. That humanizes the faith in a way headlines or even deep dives like ours can't fully capture. Stereotypes start to crumble in those everyday conversations.
That makes sense. So what happens if we don't make that effort?
The consequences are clear. Misrepresentation breeds division, fear, hostility. It leads to isolation, conflict.
And the benefit of connecting.
It builds bridges, creates more inclusive communities. There was a really interesting study in 2020 by the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding, ISPU.
What did it find?
It found that Americans who personally know a Muslim are 50% more likely to view Islam favorably.
50%. That's huge.
It's astounding, isn't it? It just highlights the incredible power of simple, genuine human connection, direct experience versus secondhand narratives.
Wow, 50%. That really underscores it. It's not about grand gestures, just connection. What a powerful reminder.
It truly is. So just to sort of wrap up our deep dive here, Islam is this incredibly rich tapestry, beliefs, practices, histories. It completely defies those simple one-size-fits-all narratives.
Its emphasis on knowledge, on deep compassion, on building strong communities. These offer lessons that resonate universally, way beyond any narrow stereotype.
So our encouragement to you, listening, is to try and move past those stereotypes. Actively seek out the truth for yourself. Maybe it's through stories like Dr. Hayat Sindi's or understanding the real impact of something like zakat. There's just so much more there when you look beyond the surface noise.
The journey really does start with curiosity, with openness. Islam's so-called best-kept secrets. They're not really hidden. They're just waiting for people willing to look past the headlines and engage with the fuller picture.
So we really want to hear from you now. What are your thoughts after listening to this? Have you encountered stereotypes about Islam? How do you think we can tackle them?
Yeah, share your ideas. Leave a comment below. Tell us if you agree or disagree with what we've discussed. We genuinely love to hear your perspective and keep this important conversation going.